Okay, so this is not an island, but rather a group of islands.
There we go.
The Archipelago of Questions. Talk to me about this one. What treasure is buried amongst all of these islands?
Oh, it's so fun. I would say the first piece of treasure here is this joy of asking questions.
Yeah.
Right? Of asking authentic questions and listening and having conversation and really living out this approach to worldview. This is a very practical, this is the toolbox.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's the 5 worldviews. And then I offer 7 basic questions. And yes, again, thank you, James Sire, for making these popular. He didn't invent these questions.
Sure.
Right? They go way back.
I'm sure people have been asking them longer than that.
Yeah. But I think it's one of those things where if we have 5 worldviews and 7 questions, we can work with this.
Yeah.
High school students can work with, college students can work with it. I can take these to work. All right, and then
Well, it's not limitless. It kind of like it's a attainable size. It's an attainable scope that is something I can actually make use of instead of just saying just infinite questions and worldviews. Like I don't know. I don't even know where to begin with that.
So it starts with the power of a question and making it a genuine question. If you can come without an agenda, even better, so you can listen and learn. Now, when you understand the 4 fragmented worldviews, when you genuinely ask someone, so what do you believe is really real? Do you believe in the spiritual realm? Do you believe in only the material realm? You haven't even talked about God yet.
Yeah.
Right? That's going to create consequences, right? And then Tozer, I love Tozer, says the most important thing about you is your perspective of who God is, right? And I paraphrase that, but that ends up being one of the most important questions for everybody. If you don't believe in God, what are the consequences? If you do believe in God, well, what is God? Who is God?
Yeah.
Right? All those things all have consequences, and those answers are different. I think that's another key component to the group of islands here, is that we're not going to have the same answers, often even within the same world view, which is interesting. And that's part of what we were talking about on the subjective-objective axiom, right? It's also part of the ontology. That's why it's over near those, is that reality, right? What is really real? Well, we're all trying to figure that out. And so these questions help us be in dialogue with others, right? So who is God? What is really real? How do we decide morality? Everybody's figuring that out. In kindergarten, you know, what is a human being? What does it mean to be human? Is this different than animals or not? Are we in the image of God or not? Right? What are the consequences of this? Everybody's asking the Hamlet question, right? To be or not to be, so to exist or not to exist, right? To fight up against the oppression. But then also behind that is, what happens when we die? When we shuffle off this mortal coil, as he says. My 5-year-old daughter, you can read about it in some of the resources, our beloved yellow lab died, right? She asked me, Papa, where did Pup go? Well, she's holding this lifeless, fuzzy body, right? Furry, not fuzzy, right? Why did she ask me? I'm on her trust list. And, you know, when she's 5, my response will shape her worldview. And not only my response on about the dog, consciously or subconsciously, she's asking about grandpa, me, herself, the cricket, right? Death is all around us. What does it mean? You know, what happens? Is it a continuation? Is it the end? Is it a metaphor? Like all these things, right? And so all the religions and isms all over the world are answering and asking and trying to process this for people, for their devotees, for their followers, or just even for themselves, right? And that's the thing that I think is beautiful here, is this is parents and children right from the get-go. Morality, death, and eventually, why do I exist? I mean, come on, the big question, why? Why am I here? Another question here in the archipelago is, what do we do with history? We all have memory. We remember history. What is that? Are we in a story? Is it just memory? Is it just images? Is it computer memory? Right?
Is it objective or subjective?
All of that,
Like,
right?
yeah.
And I think that does hearken, which isn't one of the questions I have here, but I think it's a great question, is what do we do with origins? How did we get here? How did it all start?
Yeah.
Right? Great questions, and they're all worldviews, and I don't know anybody who was there. So,
Yeah. Well,
right?
I just feel like all these questions is just, if you don't enjoy questions like this, then you don't enjoy philosophy.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole point, is just getting to these questions.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just,
what these are all about.
what's the level under that? What's the level under that? What's
Yeah.
the level under that? So you really get to the core of a thing. And I feel like I found in my own life, especially my subjective opinion and experience has been that there's a lot of times where I'm happy enough with my answer
Yeah.
that I don't want to ask the question because it might mean that I have to do some more work on my answer.
Yeah.
And I like having an answer. I like having, even if it's not correct, to me, it's certainty.
Yeah.
And it's comforting. And to say like, well, if I actually challenge this or ask a question about it, then I might learn that my current answer is not good enough, and then I'm going to have to do work.
Yeah.
So I feel like to even ask these questions takes a level of courage to say, if it's wrong, I'm willing to let it crumble for the sake of finding a better answer.
And that's the key, a better answer,
Yeah.
a more fulfilling, a more satisfying. And, in regards to believing in a prime reality, one that's closer to that, a greater understanding of it. And courage is the word,
Yeah.
right? You don't want to sail your crew to this island unless you've really created a safe place for vulnerability and authenticity.
Yep.
People need to be honest here. Well, it's relative. Why not? I mean, let's do
Yeah.
it. If we're in it, let's be honest. Let's go here.
Yeah.
Let's find out what we are trusting and what's on our trust list, and let's ask these questions of ourselves and then learn how to ask them in respectful and honoring ways to others.
Yeah.
All right. And it's a great way to start in the group and then to even go practice. And if you can do this with honor and love and genuinely wanting to learn, it's so fun. It's so fun to go out and meet your neighbors and other people with other worldviews and just find out what they believe and learn. And you'll realize, oh, yes, these islands, these other worldviews really do fit.
Yeah.
Right? I think another thing that it does is it does cause people that introspection. Right? Famous quote, trickling all the way down the ages to us, an unexamined life is not worth living. Right?
Yeah.
Let's examine it. And so I've told my students for years here, hey, if you haven't asked these questions yet, now's the time.
Yeah.
We're going to do it.
Yeah, great.
And if you have asked all of them, then let's do it in this context. All right, in this context of looking at how other worldviews answer these questions.
Yeah.
And are those satisfying or not?
Yeah.
What are the consequences of them?
Well, and I'm thinking again about the importance of kind of building your life on a firm foundation. And you think about these kinds of questions you're bringing up are foundational questions.
Yeah.
And I think the picture that comes to my mind is like if you have, one of your support beams is weak, and even if I can build all this stuff on top of it, and then I would think, look how high I'm building, but then I would just feel like, but then any day, if that thing ever breaks, the whole thing comes tumbling down. So while it'd be frustrating to have to start over and look at that and strengthen that pillar before I begin to build again, at least I can build with confidence, knowing that the core of what I'm building is firm and I can build on this.
Yeah. And the other beauty of this too is it creates this like smorgasbord of answers.
Is that the name of another dragon?
Yeah, right. Oh, that's a good name.
Smorgasbord.
Nice. But I think that's part of this is we want to have informed consent. And so we want to maintain free will and dignity. You get to choose. But there are at least 4 different, if not 5 different answers to these questions.
Yeah.
I want to at least offer my young adults and adults what's available.
Yeah.
I only thought this was available. I didn't realize that was available, right? And that it could be trustworthy.
Yeah.
Or why that's not trustworthy. And here's the why. This is the philosophy.
Yeah.
Oh, you trust that that's going to happen when you die. And that's because you don't believe in this reality and this is your type of God, et cetera, et cetera. So this is what happens when you die. You trust that? I trust this, and here's why I trust it and why I'm not choosing that.
Yeah.
This is, again, the power of question and having all the available answers ready for you to look at and choose.
Yeah.
Right? And it's interesting, I've been doing this for a while, right? But I've also read other, Lewis, Tolkien, Chesterton, who've read tons of books and done a lot of research. And I've been out asking lots of questions. And it's intriguing to me to find that, yes, everybody I've bumped into and taught thousands of students, it's all the isms, all the religions, all the worldview, all the people, they fit underneath. They're asking these questions, and they really do land in one of these four options or an interesting combination of the two.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, the Christ-centered biblical worldview is going to take those fragmented truths and put them all together and realize, this is the reality. They're all true in that sense. All right. But when you fragment them out, the consequences are so drastically different.
Yeah.
And that's what these four worldview questions and answers help us see. It makes it clear.
Yeah. And I think that it adds to that level of compassion.
Yes.
Where it's not a matter of saying, I'm right, you're wrong, but it's a matter of saying, how did you answer these questions? Because I have the same ones. And now it's not a matter of we're against each other, but we're both seeking the same answers to the same questions, and we just found different ones. Yeah. But if I have a good foundation for mine, and maybe you just are waffly on yours, then I can actually offer something that's more satisfying than what you've had, what you've been building off of so far.
And you can see here now we're motivated by love, compassion, kindness,
gentleness and respect,
authentic conversation with gentleness and respect.
Yeah.
This is how the world changes. This is how world's view change.
Yeah.
Worldview changes.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting too, is like you're saying, I may learn from someone else either why I believe what I believe and why I'm going to keep believing it, or, this is going to strengthen what I believe by learning from you.
Yeah.
Right? I think it also does create this interesting opportunity to be challenged in what you believe.
Yeah.
So by listening to you, or maybe trying to encourage you to believe something else, they're going to ask a lot of questions back.
Yeah.
And if I can't tell you why I trust the answers to my questions,
I know where to go next. But that's the beauty of it, though, is that in those conversations, you actually know what to do next. Like if I don't have an answer to that question, then I now know what to seek. And when I find it, I will be more satisfied with my answer as well, or I'll be able to correct it.
Exactly. And that's what's risky here. And that's what a lot of parents are maybe concerned about or afraid of. But let's trust that the answers, Jesus as the answer, is trustworthy, and we can be confident in that. He's rock solid. Right? But a lot of students and a lot of followers of Christ don't know why. So when you start having these conversations, you'll either find out that you do know why, or you're going to need to go find out why. And both of those are really healthy and good.
That's good. I'm just already picturing the conversations of just no stupid questions.
Nope.
Like, it's got to just be anything and everything. If it's an easy answer, it's easy. But I feel like some questions are going to have a menu of answers and just different ways to present that. But
and think of the subtlety there too. This is part of where we are building a little bit, and it is a philosophical approach. There's going to be time when we agree to disagree because I'm trusting this and you're trusting that. And I can't prove you wrong and you can't prove me wrong. So I'm going to trust this and the consequences that go with it. And you're going to trust that and the consequences that go with it. And we shake hands and part. Right?
Man,
we continue on our journey.
I love that approach. Well, I wish I could be a part of every one of your conversations for this, because I feel like we're going to have some really good discussion.
Have fun with it and go for it, and you'll learn so much.
Very cool. All right, let's have some fun.